About yesterday. I hope that everyone is okay. And oh, hang on, I think this camera is a bit mucky. Hang on, is that better? Good morning, good morning, good morning. We had a bit of a tricky day yesterday. Mark was feeling his mental health was not good yesterday. He had the most horrendous headache, which I sometimes wonder if that's a bit with his medication as well. And then a real low. And actually, I've done a couple of lives this morning, and I know there's a lot of people really struggling at the moment with their mental health. Even people that don't struggle with their mental health are struggling with their mental health because it's January, it's grey, it's miserable. It looks like we're at war with Russia. We've got a total tosser sorting that out for us. Oh, God help us. Mr. Boris, I was hijacked by a birthday cake. And then, you know, for so many people out there, real struggles and worry with money, fuel bills, food bills, you know, so even if you're not somebody that regularly, you know, deals with mental health issues, it is really hard at the moment to stay okay, you know. And the thing is, I think the only ambitions we can have are to have, you know, sometimes when we're okay, sometimes when we're happy enough. To just go for happy is tough. I don't think we're going to reach that. So if you can find little moments that you can make yourself feel a bit better today. I was just saying over on Instagram, obviously if you're in a really bad depressive state or your mental health is really low, getting out and about doesn't work. That was certainly the case for Mark yesterday. He was too low. The thought of going out, thought of being around people, thought of being in the cold, thought of all of that was overwhelming. So I didn't push him to go out. But there is a sort of sweet spot, isn't there, where, like me this morning, I absolutely didn't want to go out for a run, walk, do an Instagram live. There is no way I shouldn't say depressed. I wasn't a bit pointless. Everything felt a bit, I can't do the washing up. I'm just so, my fault, I left it. And if I hadn't had a commitment to the people that were going to be joining the live, and I hadn't had a commitment, oh, am I buffering? One sec. That does better. I wouldn't have gone out. So I'm hoping that because I've gone off, come back on, gone off, and come back on, that we're back. Hey, still frozen. Still frozen. Froze. Very annoying. Oh, it's better. Am I back? I'm back. Anyway, so I digressed. That was just, you know, just a little chat about how maybe to get us through this giddy January. Look up as well foods that improve your serotonin, things like dark chocolate, turkey, oh God, what other things? Orange fruits, like things like apricots. I think apricots. Anyway, look up serotonin, because you know serotonin is the happy hormone that we produce, and eating foods that encourage serotonin is good for the mental health. Lovely. I think you can see me now. Can you see me now? How are we doing? Holly, you're going off on a trip for your first time ever to Manchester. Oh, God send Manchester, my love. I love Manchester. And to our Welsh followers, I believe that as from today, you're going to be in line with the rest of us and only isolating for 5 days with a negative test, 6th and 7th. So I just wanted to just say that out to our Welsh followers, because I know we've got lots, and say, it's a good feeling. Each time we get a bit back of our freedoms, it's a good feeling. Where did I get my glasses from? I got them from, where are these ones from? The worst thing is, I need to put them on to be able to see where they're from. I can't see unless I've got them on. Right, so, wow. Boris is definitely under the most pressure so far. Annabelle, let me just sing a happy birthday to Annabelle. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Annabelle. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, so he is under the most pressure he's been under yet, I think. What with Partygate, which I did a rant on my Instagram, so if you want to go and watch it on my Instagram, because I was just, it just begged belief, didn't it? The new one. And the fact that he said he was only there for 10 minutes. Today, Boris supporters are coming out and saying he was hijacked by a cake. I mean, the thing was, the designer was there as well. I mean, does the designer for the flat, which was the other scandal, literally live with them now? Because I don't think she's part of the cabinet, is she? But anyway, it wasn't a party. It wasn't a party. Yeah, so he's got Partygate. And then, of course, yesterday, we had all this conundrum going on where Sue Gray has referred her report now, don't know what the right wording is there, has passed her report to the police because she believes that there are questions to be answered on the legalities of what was going on in Downing Street. Wow. What a surprise for us all, because we had a very good understanding of what the law was. Because Boris used to tell us regularly, didn't he, at 5 o'clock at those press conferences. So we knew that they'd broken the law. We knew it because we knew what the law was because they'd spelt it out to us very, very clearly. It was just that Boris wasn't sure on the law. Even though when Angela Stratton had been found with, her little faux pas had been found out when she appeared to be laughing at the regulations, and he was furious, absolutely furious at seeing Angela Stratton's and others' attitude to the rules and regulations. Do you remember? He was furious because he'd never been a party, never had a party. And now we've got the proof. So we've all seen the proof. So anyway, long story short, has now been handed to the police. And early on yesterday, rather fascinatingly, we were being told that Sue Gray's report would be delayed because it was now in the hands of the police. But what was so fantastic was Cressida Dick, Chief of Police, Head of Police, we don't say that here, do we? Police Commissioner. I'm suddenly in Mexico, Chief of Police. Said, oh God, no, it's totally fine. You don't need to keep the report back. It won't affect what we're doing, so you can show the report. Can you imagine in the halls of power what that was like? Because they thought they were going to get a little bit longer to filibuster. That's what they thought, didn't they? Oh, we've got to say, oh, the police investigation is going to take months now. Absolutely confident by that time we were all going to be so bored and so fed up of all the shenanigans that we didn't care anymore, because that's how they were. Kick the can down the road, and it won't matter eventually to people. But that's not the case. I believe the rumours are very strong. Maybe now we actually know that Boris, he didn't have the report at 11:30 last night because we were outside Downing Street, well, via Sky Papers, and they were saying, look how all the lights are out. It did make me laugh. Rishi and Boris's lights were out at 11:10 yesterday, which Sky seemed to deduce from that they weren't up late reading the report from Sue Gray. So so that tickled me. But anyway, apparently the rumours are that Boris is going to have a read of the report first. Prime Minister's question time is going to be an absolute. It's going to be like a party. I am settling down at 12 o'clock to watch that, because if he's had the report, it will be so fascinating for us, won't it, for us to see whether we're actually going to get to see the whole report. Because now they're saying, there could be, there's all sorts of issues for other people that might be mentioned in it. Who wants to see the full report? Who thinks that we are entitled to the full report? Boris is walking to a lot of parties accidentally, exactly, Nora. And then he was hijacked with the cake. It's going to be a bear fight, says Leslie Culpin. So what do you think? Do you think, as the people that put them in power and the people that ultimately through our taxes pay their wages, and who you know, we were given the rules and regulations in such a way that there was no way we couldn't understand them, do you think we have the right to see 100% of that report? Yes, says Sophie Jane, 100%. Martina McKeown, report in full now. Yes, we want to see the full report, says Mackay. Yes, says Creator. Yes, says Susan Brown, we should see it. So how is this going to work for them then? If they try and con us and say, give us all sorts of reasons, I don't know, protection of some, how are you going to feel if they come through and say, this is about a thing, or this is about protection of certain individuals that could be in danger? I mean, is anybody going to swallow that? Louise N, yes, can't promise I'll read it all, but I want it. I definitely don't want to read it all. I want excellent journalists. And I will be looking to James O'Brien for that. Sheila Fogarty, there's the people I trust the most on the radio. And because I don't want to read it, I want what's relevant given to me. Zivil Sidka, I think not only Boris should be punished, but all who attended the parties. It was interesting because I was listening yesterday to various police that were ringing up the Sheila Fogarty show yesterday, because, you know, there's been a lot of discussion around, hasn't there, whether the police are culpable for not you know, reporting the parties. And there was a lot of police ringing up, and I really did feel sorry for them. I think they are often on the end of, you silly little man, don't you realise who I am, and we can do what we want, kind of thing. Well, that's what he was saying. Interestingly, he said the people that were never like that was Margaret Thatcher, Jack Straw, and Tony Blair were always super decent. He said, like, for example, at one point we were given a ruling by whoever it was that's in charge of all that, that absolutely everyone coming into the House of Commons, doesn't matter how famous they were, must show their ID. And he said it was an absolute joke, because there was the Bobby on the beat saying, no, you've got to. And one person after another, oh, don't be silly, you silly man. Look at my face, you know who I am. So it seemed to be that they're very high-handed, and a policeman trying to put into force what they've been asked to would often, it would go up one level and then they'd be told, no, that's fine, ignore this. So I do think they're in a difficult position, and I'm not up for this whole thing of the police have to pay a price, because I think a lot of the police thought what they were having to do, like fine, like people in the way that they were, they found it ludicrous, the whole situation. Sheila Fogarty reminded us yesterday of that there were thousands of fines for people having parties. But I think we've gone beyond that point now, and I think that it's just got to be that, I think it's just got to all be down to the fact that he lied to Parliament, and for that you have to go. I worry about, yeah, of course, I mean, the country, we're all in a perilous state at the moment, aren't we, with Russia and everything, but I just think we are just going to have to work that out, because I just don't think we can have such an obvious liar, manipulator, and patronising old fart, to be quite honest, in charge. Let's hope Angela Rayner is questioning Boris. Keir can be too soft, said Kieran Evans. Yeah, Mark and I always say this. He never seems to quite land a punch, does he? He just doesn't. Right. Yeah, Keely Windle, I just got billed 186 gas and electric. You know, this is the point, isn't it? People are struggling with the cost of living, and inflation, of course, is absolutely crazy. And we have heard nothing really over the last few weeks other than the government scrambling to defend themselves, when there's a lot of other business that needs to be dealt with. Right. Next thing we're going to talk about is What do you think on this fining parents for lateness? Like a blanket fine. This is something Nadeem Zahawi, the Education Minister, is suggesting. A blanket fine. Okay, I'll set out my stall first of all. I've been listening to the radio today, and it kind of confirmed what I was thinking anyway, which was there are so many complex reasons why a child can be late. I'm thinking of a particular friend of mine who has an autistic son, and she was waiting ridiculous amount of time. I can't remember now. This is all quite a long time ago for the diagnosis, until she got the absolute diagnosis and whatever it is. Because then once you've got a diagnosis, then you go into another sort of team situation, don't you, where you get like a multi-pronged disciplinary sort of something or other where everybody helps and looks out, and that includes the school. But up until then, she was totally on her own, knowing very well that her son was autistic but not able to access any support. And one of the things that was just horrendous for her, though there was so many things that was just so challenging, was that in the morning it was a nightmare getting him out for school, plus her daughter, who was younger than him. And nearly every time she was late. Now, she was dealing with late nights with him not sleeping, early mornings, just so much going on for her that it was totally ridiculous for her to get, sort of admonished, as she did regularly by the school with threats of fines and all of this, because she couldn't help it. She was doing everything that she could. So there's that kind of a person and that kind of a challenge. Then I've been listening to radio this morning. There are so many children at the moment that are refusing school because, hang on a minute, we've all just been through a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is now, of a pandemic where children's school life has been completely disrupted. We know quite a few teachers, and school at the moment is a very, very tough place for teachers and for kids. There are so many mental health issues going on, so much high anxiety going on in children. Never mind that a lot of them have anxiety about COVID and possibly coming back home to kill the granny. Remember that? Remember that one that came out? Kids, don't get COVID and kill your granny. And did we really think that kids were just going to slip back into school and back into the routine with no problem? Transport, huge transport problems. I mean, our daughter travels a long way to school, and we had a whole week where trains were just cancelled. Another situation is quite often, everybody I know with kids, their kids are picking up bugs left, right and centre. Kiki's had a fair amount of time off school because they get ill, and then you've got to we're not doing PCR tests now, but you do a lateral flow. The lateral flow is negative. They've got all the symptoms. Then you get a PCR test. Then you've got to wait. So there's been a lot of school missed. Not every child that doesn't go to school is just a naughty child. Not every parent that is struggling to get their kids to school is a parent that doesn't care about their kids or about school. So I think this is totally ridiculous. And then listening to a number of different headmasters this morning, and all of them agreed. Every one of them said fines do not work. Lots of parents have had a bad experience themselves at school, right? And are a little untrusting of schools and headmasters and teachers, and may have a situation going on for them, undiagnosed, maybe ADHD. This is what the headmaster was saying, ADHD or anxiety or dyslexia or processing disorder, all the things that their child might have, and they might have had a really bad experience at school and don't trust the school, and actually lean more towards maybe of saying, well, just stay home, or you can go in late. And fining a parent, what's that going to do? That's just going to cause more distance. And at a time where we've already said where people are struggling to pay their bills, you want to put financial pressure on top of kids as well? Somebody there just saying, who's that? Blueberry jam. Senko kids should be exempt from this. Absolutely, without saying. But I think if your child isn't with Senko, then only communication and support will help from a school, not a telling off and a fine. What do you reckon? Gabrielle, I think fines are terrible. The time can be made up later. It doesn't matter if the child misses 10 minutes. Minky Moo, I don't see why this is news. Surely there's more important shit to getting on with. They should let the school manage their schools. I mean, you know, teachers are under such pressure, you know, with having a child back at school now. Mark and I say on a regular basis, how are they coping? When you actually hear what it's like in schools, I mean, kids are freaking out the whole time, you know, and they're having to manage these children's mental health. And the fact that so many, I don't believe in ever saying kids are behind, but that's the system. And the system, you know, will deem that people are behind because they've got to move them ever forward to, you know, to do their exams and pass their exams. So, you know, they are behind, inverted commas. And, you know, it's only just recently that Ofsted, it's only like 2 weeks ago that Ofsted said, oh, we're going to suspend for a few weeks some of the Ofsted reports. Well, I'm sorry, you've got to completely rethink the Ofsted visits, because teachers are buckling under the pressure, and to know that you're going to be having an Ofsted visit at any point as well, I'm sure doesn't help. So, I mean, really here I'm sticking up for everybody. I'm sticking up for the teachers, I'm sticking up for the parents, I'm sticking up for the headmasters, and mostly I'm sticking up for the kids. Charlie Mason, my girl is homeschooled after teacher bullying. We lost hope with the education system. Well, we completely, you know that we completely understand that. Our girls were homeschooled for 6.5 years. And, you know, it ain't plain sailing going back to school. And actually, I was listening to somebody today on the radio who was saying that she's having a nightmare getting her teenage son up and out of bed. And that actually so much of homeschooling had worked for him. And she'd never had problem getting her child to school before lockdown. But he likes the quiet, he likes working from home, you know, and I know at the moment everybody's reeling, but surely we can learn something about what worked for kids, what worked differently. I mean, I know a lot of people said that the fact that their teenagers weren't having to get up so early was helping their learning. And there are other countries that recognise that. I mean, it's a biological fact that the teenage brain works in a better and different way if it's allowed to sleep later, because their kind of body clock goes crazy. So maybe we need to shift a bit. Maybe teenagers should come in a bit later than a primary school teacher, a kid or an infant school kid who is up and at it at 6 a.m. Exactly, Sarah Fox, more pastoral support needed in all the schools. And I think the teachers need more pastoral support as well. So, you know, my heart like pumps for everybody in this situation, and the fining is a terrible, terrible idea. You know, absolutely terrible. I really hope it doesn't go through, really do. Ali B, my son's 6th form starts at 10 a.m. There you go. Progressive, different thinking, blue sky thinking. We can't get them in and focused at 8 o'clock. Let's get them in at 10 o'clock. And there was an interesting, there was another headmistress who was talking this morning, and she said, sleep is so vital to a child's ability to learn. And if sometimes a parent makes the decision that their child is so exhausted that they need another hour's sleep, we should be able to communicate, the school and the teacher, back and forth with that. Because sending in a child to school that hasn't had any sleep does nothing for anyone, because the child can't learn, they're quite often disruptive. And why can't we just be a bit more flexible when parents are saying that? Why do parents have to just be seen as the, you know, as the problem, rather than, you know, and then vice versa? I think teachers and parents mostly, not all, want to help their child get as best education and experience at school as they can. And a fine is, It seems like most of you, oh, you've got your 24-month badge. Who's that? Let me try and get your name back down. Julie Evitts, 24 months. Woohoo! Woohoo! Laura Lou, yes, and primary kids who don't sleep at night, they can't function. That was Kiki's problem. She's never been able to sleep. She's always been a bad sleeper. She's just, and it's just, you know that you're trying to push this stuff into their brain, and there's no point at all because they can't function when they're that tired. I'm like that. If I go a night without sleep, I just can't function. Sophie J. Matilda, I remember being clinically depressed and suicidal in secondary school because of the pressure and the attitude of the teachers. I hardly slept. I was constantly exhausted. It's toxic. And unable to learn. I mean, I remember when, Kiki was much younger and I was talking to this CBT counsellor. I was in tears. And I was going, oh no, I just can't get to learn this. And she said, listen, she's not sleeping, and then she goes into a high anxiety state. And then what happens is when you're anxious, is your brain is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, and you literally blank out. Like you could say to her, what's her name? She wouldn't have been able to answer because the brain just goes into, fight or flight mode, and it can't function. So just telling a child to just push through and just like get over it and get to school on time. Yeah, I mean, that might tick a box, but is it actually productive? I would say no. Exactly, Sarah Begley. You can't pigeonhole children. Oh, M. Kudari. Thank you for that. TED Talk about sleep. Check it out. Oh, yes, I will. I love a TED Talk. Okay. Good ship lollipop. Many of us go through this and don't have parents to turn to. Very lonely. Oh my God, don't break my heart, good ship lollipop. Please don't. I was talking to my friend the other day about this, and we were like bemoaning how, how bad we felt for our kids and how bad we're feeling about ourselves and how hard it is and all of that. And then I just went, oh my God, just imagine if you're a child, because our kids can come home with absolutely anything and we'll set aside time to talk to them and listen to them. We can't fix it all, but we'll always listen to them. And the thought that kids just come in, and like sometimes when you hear about troublesome kids and people get all angry about the troublesome kids, I always think, bet they're coming home with their shit and they've got no one to talk to about it. So yeah, I have huge sympathy for that. Oh my God, I suddenly felt so sick because I suddenly felt so hungry. Oh my God, I need to eat immediately. Right, Snow White. What do we think about the Snow White story? Do you all know about it? So basically, Disney are doing a remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And Peter Dinklage, fantastic actor from Game of Thrones, and also plays the very, very angry writer in Elf. And has been a campaigner all the way through his career. Has a form of dwarfism called achondroplasia, which I think, if I'm right, is the most common form. And he says, he said he thinks it's, well, he said, what have I done? What have I been doing with has nothing I've said made any difference? Now, Disney are very proud of the fact that they have cast Latina actress. Let me just find her name. Same actress from America, West Side Story. I'm just trying to find her name. Yeah, Rachel Zegler. And a Snow White. And he said, that's great. And I'm really pleased about that. But have we not moved on from seeing, the seven dwarfs jumping about underneath the ground as miners and, being jolly, silly folk? So Disney have responded and said that they've been in contact with, they have been in constant contact with, let me just see what the society is. They are avoiding reinforcing stereotypes. and that they are, you know, taking advice at all times. So I suppose we can't really, I think, get too cross about this yet, because we don't know how they're going to portray the seven dwarfs in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We just don't know. It could be something completely, you know, fabulous that they've got planned for us. They did say that they're going to take a different approach with these seven characters, and we have been consulting with members of the Dwarfism community. I've got a feeling they're going to surprise us. I don't think they'll be going for the standard, you know, joke dwarf sort of vibe. And I know a lot of people, when I first heard this story, I was like, are we all being a bit too woke? You know, this is just a fairy tale and we're retelling it. And then I thought, no, I don't think we are, because I don't have dwarfism. So how can I make that judgment on whether I think it's offensive or in any way, you know, derogatory, or in any way exacerbates what problems I might face, you know, out and about. So, and it was actually, I listened to this little film about short video that Will Perry, who I think was a swimmer in the 2020 Paralympics. And it actually broke my heart a bit, what he said. I don't know if any of you seen it. Did anyone see his film on this? And he said, you know, it was so amazing being part of the Paralympics and to be treated as just an equal in every way. And he said, and then I come back home and it's just been the same old shit that I've always had to face, basically, which is constant derision every time we go out, laughing, pointing. He said, we are just seen as figures of fun. He said, you know, it's not that common, dwarfism. So people will still point and stare and giggle and laugh. And he said, yes, as Melanie says, yeah, depictions of dwarfs are often pretty undignified, and that's what he was saying. You know, it does make a difference how we are depicted in films and on social media and all that, and it does impact directly on me as an individual. And it really made me think, you know, and I think why, you know, why really it's not up to us to say whether it's okay or not is we don't suffer any of that. And I think, you know, the rage that Peter Dinklage has is like, I am doing, my whole career has been about just being cast and not being cast because of the way that I look, you know. Hello, Michelle. Linda, if you look in the description, there's a link to a live chat with YouTube. Oh, that's something else. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. Yeah. So I've lost. So what do you think, Jackie Valina? I just see the Seven Dwarfs as cute little fictional characters. Exactly. And that's what he said is so damaging for him and others of his community when they're just out and about, because that's what he said. We're seen as figures of fun. We've seen almost as cartoon characters, and we're not. We're exactly the same inside. I mean, I remember seeing an interview. Now, where was that? Was it somebody on Loose Women? Yes, it was. Yeah. Oh, God, what was her job? I don't know. Anyway, but she had the same dwarfism as Peter Dinklage. And she was talking about, oh, my God, this honestly, it moved me to tears. Oh, God, she was such a full-on woman. I loved her. Bit of a ball breaker. But she was saying, what people don't realise is that it's really scary when we're out and about. She said, for instance, people will regularly, if you're somewhere out drinking, people would get sloshed and pick her up like a child and run around with her. And like everyone in that pub and that bar might just start laughing, and it's all very jolly jape and very cartoon-like. Can you imagine how scary that must be? Just imagine how scary that must be. Oh my God, to just be picked up by a random stranger. So I think, yeah, the way that they are depicted in films, we know how you know, what a big influence, you know, TV and films have on us. Exactly, Sarah Fox. Oh my God, that must be terrifying. Alison Fisher, awful. Exactly. We would never think of that. So I think people of, you know, I don't know, how would we call ourselves? People of height, I don't think can really say it's all a bit silly and that we're all overreacting, because we don't have to live that. And she talked about once she was just picked up and in a pub, she was in a pub with a friend of hers, and she was picked up and the guy ran outside with her. I mean, just imagine, you know, and people are all laughing. You don't even think, oh, I'm going to be saved here. Somebody's going to say, because everybody's finding it funny because we're a figure of fun. Normal stature. Thank you, Susan Ballantyne. Becky Hicks, I'm only 4'10", get constant jokes and comments. I can't imagine being treated like that. I know it's just not on, is it? Anyway, thank you for joining me today. Hopefully Mark will be feeling a bit better tomorrow and we'll be here tomorrow. If you've enjoyed this time on our channel, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything. And we are here. We upload something almost every day. Well, we do. We upload something every day, actually. Oh, van life. Just quickly, van life. Van life. Has anyone heard of it? Maybe follow, maybe look on Instagram and on Twitter. And actually, there's an article out today about it. Let me just see where it was. It was in The Sun. I'm 21 and live full-time in a van, rent-free. Now, I haven't seen anyone doing that here, but I've followed quite a few people out in the States that do it. It's quite a big community in van life, and I think that's only increased since Nomadland. And they call themselves the new rich. And I love that. I keep showing it to Maddie, the new rich, i.e. we don't have any bills, we don't have any restrictions on our life, and we just travel. I suppose they must have some way to make enough money to buy petrol and food, but they're not caught up in this mortgage and high bills sort of nightmare that most people are caught up in. But today there's a TikTok user, a Messily Burr, and she lives in Cambridge, and over lockdown she completely transformed her van into this funky, stylish pink home. You got to check it out in The Sun. She has done in The Sun a most amazing job. Like, she's got a shower in there. She's got everything right, and she's done it on pennies. You know, her tiles cost £14. All the interiors she's done with old pallets, and there's something about it that really appeals to me. Just living in a van, not here, I don't think I'd want to do it, but out in the States or something like that, traveling and seeing the most beautiful places, and just not being responsible or answerable to anyone or anything. Who would do that? Does that fill you with horror, or do you think, oh God, yeah, I could do with a bit of that? Just have a think about it. Anyway, just a quick one on that. But go and read the article, and then check out Van Life, the new rich, on Instagram and such like. Oh, hang on, what's that from Michelle? There's a big YouTube channel called Raya and Louis, who went across Europe in a van over the last few months, got totally addicted to the idea of doing it. Raya and Louis, thanks for that recommendation, Michelle. Check it out, everybody. Raya and Louis on the YouTube channel, and see if that possibly could be the life you dream of. Imagine if somebody right here, right now on this live, goes and checks that out and completely changes their life and lives in a van. If you do, you've got to stay in touch. Lots of love. See you.